Imagine writing a check for $240,000 every single month. That's what Gilbert Arenas was paying in child support. And here is the part that should make you question the entire system. That $250,000 didn't cover private school. It didn't cover housing, and it didn't even pay for the nanny. Those were all separate bills paid on top of the child support. We need to stop pretending this is about supporting a child. At this level, the legal system isn't protecting kids. It's enforcing a state-sanctioned wealth transfer designed to maintain a luxury tax bracket for the custodial parent.
Child support kicking my ass. Stay down.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so with the child support, so there's like all this, you always hear things, right? So I know you were paying like a crazy amount at some point, right?
Yep.
So does that change once you retire? Is that like the issue with the court and going back?
Yeah. So, different states have different rules. So different states is friendlier to men than others, right? So.
But California
and New York. Yeah, you are hit across the head. So we use in Cali is use a Dissomaster. So
both states I've lived in. Oh my God, I'm so glad I dodged that bullet. Woo.
It's not about how much you have, it's about how much you make, right? So let's say you're a billionaire, but you don't make anything, right? It's like everything is frozen assets, you're not making anything, you don't have to pay child support. Right? If you're making $300,000 and you have zero in the savings, they're going off that $300,000 and that's what you're paying child support off of. So they just put your number in, put how many days or your percentage of seeing them. They put, the woman's income in, and then it goes from there. Then they spit out a number, which obviously whoever makes the money is not going to like. And then you fight. One's fighting to get it down, one is fighting to keep it there or go up. Right? So, during my battle, the number was 244. So 244,000 a month. So that's what, I was all.
It sounds even more ridiculous to hear him say it. That's ridiculous. Most people see these headlines and they just immediately move right on to the next story. But, and they say this is rich people problems, but this is ruining some very average earning working class men's life as well. I have a friend of mine who told me he knows someone who is paying $2,000 a month, making a six-figure income. And they're more than happy to do that. That's what you'll see a lot of times is that the men that actually want to be involved with their children have no problem supporting their lifestyle. But when you take a huge chunk out of somebody's money, especially like an NBA player, and the money won't be there forever, you're really running the risk of bankrupting that man. And unfortunately, that's what happens oftentimes. These guys with 10 and 12 kids, a kid in every city that they go to because they got a baby mom in every city. It's insanity.
Offering a nice little 20. You got a little 20, little dub. We good. Laughed at that dub. Nigga, please. Right.
Damn.
Then,
Hold up. Did he just say she turned down $20,000 a month? His baby mom? Now, I think he has 3 or 4 children. Damn. She just turned her nose up at $20,000 a month.
Like, that's for 3 children?
It was 4.
4 kids.
Yeah, it was 4. That $300,000, and that's what you're paying child support off of. So they just put your number in. But the bad, it wasn't even a bad part, but it was, and then I pay for school, and then I pay for the house, and then I pay for nanny. So it's like, what is the 244 for?
So then you retire, right? So you're not making the same income.
Right.
Yeah, so once my income dropped, I went in there like, I don't make that kind of money to support, the child support. So right off the jump, it dropped from 44,000 to about 7.
Okay.
Overnight.
Well, that's good. At least he was able to get an adjustment. But a lot of dudes aren't as lucky as that because they don't have such a steep cutoff of like no more money is coming in. As long as you're working at a job and you make a halfway decent income, that is consistent. Whatever they set it as, and if you're not smart enough to go in for an adjustment, that is what you're going to be paying, unfortunately.
There was no decline. It was just 44 to 7, and then boom. And then from there, it was just the kids, so the youngest, so always, if you have multiple, the youngest kid is always worth the most. So, so if you have more, then eventually, like whoever the youngest is, they're going to be worth the most, and then it just drops off when they turn 18.
Well, you almost done, huh?
Yeah.
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 How do you feel about that? Because I feel like your obviously everybody knows, we hear things like your
But I do have to say this, y'all got to start being more responsible. Like everybody talks about, people who wait until they're more established to have children, but all of y'all that are just impulsively out here having kids, a lot of y'all need to be held accountable because y'all are irresponsible in doing that because it's going to be a wealth transfer. It's going to be a liability in some ways. You know what I'm saying? Like now you hate to say that your children are a liability. They're beautiful. That's a wonderful thing, but can you handle that? Can your wealth handle that at this point? The separation of you and the children, the separation of you and a majority of your wealth. How do you even move on at that?
co-parenting relationship has been a very public thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you feel about that? Because, I mean, you're almost done because you're youngest with.
And the irony, talking to one of the basketball wives that was, I believe, on the show with his ex-wife. The basketball wife. Yeah, Laura is up in the left corner, and that's Evelyn. So she knows the game. She's just talking it out.
That situation is 16?
14.
Okay, so you got 4 more years.
Yeah, but there's never really a co-parenting issue. We've never had a co-parenting issue where we disagreed on something about the kids. It's always been a money issue, right?
Oh.
You don't have it. You want me to pay for it because you don't want to pay for it. You know what I mean? It's always those like, okay, we're going on vacation and I'm taking 30 people. You got to pay for it. Nah. Those are the issues, right? So,
that's insane that you could even think to do that. If you're in a situation where you're getting supported, either in spousal support or this, it should be an accounting or child support. It should be an accounting that you can't just up and take a trip. You don't get to do luxury trips when you're raising children like that and somebody else is footing the bill. That's crazy. Now, all of a sudden, you got to pay for extra people, 30 people. That's crazy. No, Gilbert was a millionaire. Once you divorce Gilbert, you're no longer a millionaire. I don't understand where California and states like New York get the idea that these women are supposed to be able to maintain this lifestyle. And sometimes they'll avoid serious relationships so they can continue getting the money or just have a side boyfriend. This is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I say, fellas, you got to be careful out here about who you choose to have children with. Man.
The money falling off or staying on, it didn't matter to me. It was, I just wanted to have the relationship with the children because I was raised by a single father. So all I know is be there. So, paying $5,000, $7,000, it really didn't matter. Like the judge.
Co-parenting relationship has been a very.
Problem was when it gets to $244,000.
In my case, it was $20,000 is what the judge gave. I gave an extra $15,000 just to leave me alone. So that's how I got the 44. So it was 20 plus I pay for school. And then I added $15,000 more, just leave me alone and don't talk about me in the papers, nothing. Just let me be. That didn't work. Took that money and just kept going it.
Did you ever stop her from doing Basketball Wives, or did you ever try to stop her from doing Basketball Wives?
Oh yeah, she was getting a check from Basketball Wives. What happened? I thought all these women were wealthy off of their entrepreneurship that came after their opportunity being on the Basketball Wives. Apparently, these businesses that they were making probably weren't that successful. I can think of one in particular, She by Sheree. It still hasn't launched. I used to watch that one with a friend of mine. Now, but that was a long time ago.
Wives?
No, I never tried to stop her from working. Because think about it, if you're working, that's your income,
And that's
right?
money.
So get some income, goddamn it. Well, I
Gil is stupid.
I put a gag order on the show. So y'all remember what it was like season 2011. So it was season 2, season 1 of LA. I put a gag order on where they can't use my name. Because
Oh,
at that point I'm still playing and I don't know nothing about the show and I don't want my name just being bashed all over the place. Just got off some gun stuff, so I'm already image conscious. So I was like, I don't need her going in there just throwing me under the bus. I'm good.
Right.
so this was the response from Gil's ex-wife, Laura Govan. Says, it's kind of funny how this lady done ran through every big three, but got so much to say about me. Let's see. R&B, MLB, NBA, NFL, RAP, ABC, NBC, BET, MTV, HOV, got a STD, maybe even HIV, allegedly, all in the back of a car, but got the audacity to ask about me. Let's keep it cute, Goofy. Wow, she was mad. Here's a truth, or hear a truth. Every chick Corny Gill has interviewed with, he has slept with. Oh, now that's alleged. That's an allegation. Fun facts, Goofy and... Wow. Y'all, you better leave me alone, bro. I got real facts. You should be worrying about our children instead of all the lies you tell. I'm real effing sick of you in your storytelling. Jeez. Now go run tell that. That's your baby mama, man. She didn't make a video. She didn't make a huge fuss. Maybe there's still a gag order on her, and maybe she didn't want to actually besmirch his name anymore. But geez, she did come with some thunder in the stories, I guess. Wow. That comes from Evelyn Lozada and Shanice Harrison's Drop the Low podcast. Yikes. What happens when reality TV people start podcasting? It gets spicy, man. It gets crazy. But yeah, man. But either way, you got to look closer at how the courts actually operate. They don't calculate the support based on what a child consumes or what they actually need. They use a rigid formula based on almost entirely on what the earner's income is. And Gil asked a very simple, logical question during his book. If he's already directly paying for the roof over their heads, the private education, and the daily child care, what exactly is the remaining $244,000 for? But either way, this money functions essentially as a tax-free salary for the parent that has custody of the children, right? Crazy. It's not just the resources that the child is needing, the legal standard of lifestyle maintenance. It creates incentive for an ex-wife or a baby's mother to use the child as a financial instrument to secure a permanent income stream. And when you think about it, like, you have some very attractive women who, like, that is their career in a way, is finding an athlete. I think Brittany Renner was one of the most famous ones, targeting an athlete in college to let him know, and then talking about how stupid athletes are and that they'll give you a baby for this, instructing other women on how to do this. So, assuming the athlete isn't that smart, they fall right for it. They think they're in love, It's like when I originally went out to Hollywood and, like, a strong 2-month relationship with a girl where you thought you were in love with her, but immediately, if she had been there longer than you, at some point she was going to flip the switch and forget all about you, like, without even questioning things. It was so shocking, the drop off, you know what I mean? The ghosting that goes on in those type of places. And can you imagine if you're a $1 million athlete? I didn't have millions of dollars. I was just, dealing on my potential. But that's how cold the game is, man. And you see how some of these women ended up, and you're like, they either got their mark, they got the simping dude, the tricking dude, or they still trying to figure out in their 40s, man. But it's crazy. But it was interesting too how once he came in and was like, hey, I don't play ball anymore, the payments did drop. So fellas, that's a word of advice. If you go through some type of change in your income, say you're a high earner and you go down to zero, it might be better to just go down to zero, you know, from 6 figures straight to zero, from high value man to just making it. I do want you all to take care of your children. Once you do have them, that is very important. That is paramount to take care of them. But logically, it's not making a lot of sense that these guys are paying this much. Like, I was like, hey, what do you have? Some kind of super children? Like, are your children more expensive because they're better or something? I don't even know. I don't understand how it works. But you know, after everything's done, and see, that just goes to show you that it was all about the money. Like, that's the proof you need that as soon as you start making less, oh, the money's off. She probably got a new relationship. She's getting remarried to somebody, you know. But didn't she get married to Matt? Oh, no, it was Gloria that was married to Matt Barnes. Gilbert Arenas' wife's sister was married to Matt Barnes. And you saw how that situation happened. And, you know, had Matt driving up there to see somebody, you know, about it. If you don't know it, go look it up. But see, if the kids could survive on the $7,000 after the fact, the $244,000 and the $237,000 that was left over was just like a wealth tax in a way. It was, you are paying for being wealthy, don't you know? You know, but it's a system that prioritizes everything but the reality of how much things cost. And it exposes the fundamental flaw in how family law handles high net worth splits, confusing the best interests of the child with the financial interests of the adult receiving the check. The legal system needs to stop pretending that a child needs a CEO salary every month just to be happy. Until the courts cap child support and spousal support at reasonable cost plus a lifestyle buffer, this remains a legal theft. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you sign up for the Patreon. This is Faucette Media.